song I've been dancing to all day. You're welcome. It's TIP Tuesday Live. Tell me hello if you're here. All right. So if you're here, please say hello. Tell me where you're watching me from. I'm dancing to Final Say, Banky W. It is a beautiful Tuesday. Trust me. You want to join me? Good afternoon, Jolly. Good afternoon, Amaka. Thank you, thank you. So today we are looking at an interesting topic. You're going to have fun here. You get what they say, no matter what them say. You get the final say. You get the final say. No matter what they say, no matter what they say. All right, it's Tuesday Live. My name is Wendy Ologe, and I'm the founder of the Intentional Parent Academy. I like to be here every Tuesday. Thank you, Tessie from Asaba. Hi, Ziobi. Thank you all for joining me. And it is a good Tuesday. Please tell me where you're watching me from. And if this is your first time, hey, please put a hashtag and say first time joining you, right? So that we can welcome you. The way we would usually welcome, right? The people who are just here for the first time. Okay, so today we are looking at the very first, right? We're looking at this month, we're talking about parenting heart, and we're looking at the different things that have happened to you and all of that. Am I hurting from my childhood? That is the question. Am I hurting from my childhood? A lot of us do not even know whether we are hurting or not, whether we are, anything has happened to us or not. Please, if you're just joining me, please say hello and tell me where you are watching me from. All right. I have just started the session, and my name is Wendy Ologe for those of us who have never met me before, because I see a lot of first time. All right. I am Wendy Ologe, and I'm the founder of the Intentional Parent Academy. All right. I love to be here every Tuesday. I'm here every Tuesday at 2 p.m. on our YouTube channel, streaming live on our Facebook community. Today, I saw that we've hit 71,000 on our Facebook community. Yes, that is the community. Am I hurting from my childhood trauma? What do you know when you hear childhood trauma? What comes to mind? What comes to mind? Yes, Dinatu from Kaduna, tell me where you're streaming live from. I would appreciate your comment and the conversation, and keep it going so that I know that I'm also here with someone. Hi, Moses. All right. So when we talk about childhood trauma, what really do come to mind? All right. There's a lot to childhood trauma. So we're going to try to be a bit, try to stay on the lane. There are a lot of things that I want to say, but I'm going to try to stay on the lane and then say the things I need to say. Now, I've heard people say things like time heals, everything. Oh, time shall heal this wound. Oh, time shall, so with time, everything is going to go. Oh, with time and all of that. Oh, time is going to do this. Oh, time that. By starting to say that time heals nothing. Numbing your feelings is not the same thing as healing. They are not the same thing. All right. I have seen a lot of us who have what we have done with our upbringing is that we just want to, time to pass. Unfortunately, when we say that time is going to heal the body, the past doesn't stay in the past. The past keep coming up. For every time that we see ourselves, the past is constantly chasing us. So we can't really come up and say, oh, time is really going to heal anything. All right. When you're traumatized as a child, it lives deep in your inside. It's not something that you can just squash and put it under the carpet. It bites deep. These memories are engraved, they are engraved into your system. your relationship struggles, it does your self-esteem no good, and all of that. All right. Freud, the psychologist, says that we have a compulsion to repeat events if we try not to heal. So I have seen a lot of repetition of events in the past days. Oh, by the way, I want to say shout out to Choma. Someone gave me this t-shirt that I'm wearing. It's written "The Parenting Boss." That's what is on it. Shout out to you. Thank you for gifting me with this. All right. I totally forgot that. All right. And until you help yourself on how to work out on the roots of your past, in your present, your childhood trauma will remain unresolved. It will remain unresolved. So today, we're looking at some of those childhood traumas. What are their effects? What has happened to us? Why are we where we are? We need to begin to look at all of this. In psychotherapy, there's a lot to look at. That's why very many times when people say, but we turned out okay, I ask, at what expense? So the trauma really that has been passed, and then now we are even suffering transgenerational trauma, where it is like from generation to generation. Many of the things that you talk about and people say, oh, we're cursed, lineage and all of that, sometimes it's just, childhood trauma playing itself and repeating itself, because life has a tendency of repeating. All right. Life has a tendency of repeating. Okay. And all of that. You need to actually understand that this is real. All right. Hi, Charity. No, I didn't have a difficult past. Okay. I'm just passionate about making sure that this gets to you. Okay. So one-time event can actually take a toll on your child. So when we talk about childhood trauma, we're talking about physical, we're talking about sexual abuse, we're talking about parental, domestic childhood, domestic violence in childhood. So when we talk about all of this, we are looking at all the aspects. Now, many of the things I am sharing with you today, it's not coming from a personal experience. All right. Many of what I share with you are coming from experience of, working with many people. I've had my own share of experience, but working with diverse parents have shown me even more of what we are battling with beyond all of the things that we see. Unfortunately, there are stories I can't tell on, in the public space for the sake of, confidentiality. So I can't come out here and say a lot of things. But please note that these things are real. I'm going to try as much as possible to paint pictures for you to be able to understand. We've started sharing stories on people who are hurting from their past, and a lot of people have reached out to me. In fact, there are stories that we have, all right, and right now we can't share them because we're not allowed for confidentiality purposes. Okay, so one-time event can actually take a toll on your child, and that doesn't even have to be direct. The events, when we talk about childhood trauma, we're not even talking about direct events. It might not even be directly on your child. It could even be domestic violence that a child saw. That could be trauma for the child. All right. I've shared severally when people say, oh, how about, you really want to stay, and because this, that, and all of that, you're staying because of the children. Unfortunately, the children are being traumatized daily. Because as they see their mother, in fact, when it comes to adverse childhood experiences, I'm going to share that in our coming classes. Adverse childhood experiences, when you talk about adverse childhood experiences, we talk about the experiences you have that another person has. Hi, mom. The experiences you have that another person, was having, as in you, because you saw it, because you witnessed that trauma. That is actually what the challenge, could be. It could be traumatic for a child. Now, when we talk about childhood trauma, what are the three things that characterize them? We have the three E's of trauma. The three E's of trauma are events, experiences, and effect. Events, experiences, and effect. Now, the experience, the effect of what happens to one person to another person might never be the same. So experiences and the effect is part of what is counted when it comes to trauma. All right. And there are a lot of things that happen after all of this, as when someone is traumatic, even in your adulthood. I've said before that time heals no wound. The past doesn't stay where it should stay. When you're traumatized as a child, it lives deep inside of you. No time does not heal nothing. All right. So when we talk about, resolving trauma, we're looking at how does this affect you? How does it affect you, as an adult? If you don't get help or you have never gotten into the right kind of therapy to walk through your trauma, that child part of you, will still carry the trauma and still keep coming and still keep coming. We call it the inner child. Until you do the inner child work, you will continue to struggle for the things that have happened to you. What are the causes of trauma? Now, today we're looking at the causes of trauma, and then we're looking at the effect of trauma on you as an adult. Number one cause of trauma is physical abuse. I'm going to say a lot about this one. When we talk about physical abuse, people want to, say a lot of things and say, oh no, when I'm correcting a child and beat a child in a certain way, the child would know that it's physical abuse. Unfortunately, that is not abuse. Unfortunately, the brain doesn't stop to produce the cortisol that it produces at that time and say, you know what? Now I know that this is discipline, I'm shutting down. So I'm going to be helping the child. So now I am going to shut down. The brain does not understand it. The same release happens. That is actually the struggle. That is the difficult part. Now, the same release, happens. The same thing actually happens. The same thing, the process is the same. Now, I've heard a lot of us say things like, oh, it's just, I just needed to hit the child to correct the child. Like I said, the brain doesn't pause to say, am I supposed to be traumatized by this? Or am I supposed to understand that my parents mean well? The brain can't interpret it as that. Now, in this era where we have had physical abuse, one of the problems that we have with physical abuse is that it has continued because of the climb where we are. Now, because of, I've said it before, that abused people do not, sometimes, it's just rare. Many times they don't hate their abusers. They actually hate themselves. So, yes, that's part of the trauma series that happens. They begin to hate themselves without even knowing that they are hating themselves. A lot of us have said, oh, this thing is, oh, so what do we do? This thing is, you need to beat a child for the child to actually align. I like to always say this. My mom is here. I never got hit by my mom. Never. Not one day. My mother is right here on this broadcast listening to me. So, of course, I'm not going to lie, yeah? At least she's here, okay? Alive, well, and sound, okay? So, my mother didn't need to beat me. Did we turn out irresponsible? No. I want to disabuse this mindset that you need to actually beat a child for the child to turn out okay. I will need us to actually disabuse that mindset because there are too many tools to use for you to actually help the child through misbehaviors. So there are things that you can do. Many of the times, the anger emotions loses you. Now, this is where the problem really is. The anger emotions actually loses you. And when that happens, you do not know the extent of the extent to which you can stop yourself. When you begin to hit a child and you say, oh, I'm just hitting the child to correct the child, which, on the first level, it looks okay. But how do you know when to stop? Which is usually the issue. That is usually the problem. How do you know when the anger emotion just loses because you're too angry to actually think? So we're talking about being able to think. One of the greatest tools that I got from my mom is the ability to think through my process, because she gave us opportunities to actually think through the process. Now, that is the difference between
my reaction to things and your reaction to things, because I already understand that there's a way out. Now, one of the problems, I was teaching the parents in the no yelling challenge that we just finished, and I was saying that one of the biggest challenges of yelling is that we don't have tools. We do not have tools. If you have tools, then you will be able to do better. So the problem usually is that you can't communicate. Communication is at the bedrock of the issues of discipline. We lack communication tools. People can't say what they think. People cannot communicate properly. I advise everybody to take communication classes. Trust me, it's going to do a great deal on your relationship with your children and even your relationship with your spouse. I've shared before that my husband and I take communication classes yearly because we understand that at the bedrock of you losing it is your inability to use language. Do you know why toddlers throw tantrums a lot? Simple. Inability to communicate. They can't communicate with you, so they throw a tantrum. So when you react in that way to your child, you're throwing a tantrum. That's what you're doing. All right, take communication classes. All right, if you want to join, communication classes and all of that, I know that the Marriage Seal, my husband runs a marriage counseling system that they have a course on communication and all of that. But it will do you a whole lot of good to actually begin to build your communication. So you are actually struggling because you have issues with communicating. If you can build your communication stance, then you will be able to actually deal with this. Now, another reason why a lot of people are struggling with physical abuse is trauma, transgenerational trauma. That is what has been done to me. It is what I can do. Why can't I do it? It is the same thing you've seen. You can't give what you don't have. I've said this over and again. In fact, it is worse. It is worse on this parenting journey. It is worse on this parenting journey. If you ever go on parenting without being able to actually build you will struggle. You will struggle. Every leader that is struggling, it means that the leader is not building themselves. Go and check it anywhere. And you are a leader because you're a parent. All right? Someone is asking, you can tag your friends. If you're on your Facebook community, you can tag your friends. If you're on our YouTube channel community, you can share the link for people to get to listen. All right? So that is one of the reasons, that's one of the causes of trauma, physical abuse. So while you are at it, telling me that, discipline needs to be physical. No, discipline does not need to be physical. Discipline does not need to be physical because discipline is in structure, not in your yelling, jumping up and down and moving up and about. It is in structure. There are so many structures that I have been built with growing up that have helped me today. That's what has helped me. The fact that I can sit here every 2 p.m. is discipline. That's what the real discipline is. I got home yesterday and, there was, I got home, by the time we got home, there was food on the table for us to eat. My friend was around. She ate with us. My 10-year-old had made dinner. That is discipline. That is discipline in itself. So your inability to actually communicate is where the problem is. It's not the child. It's not the child. And if you're empty as a leader, you can't raise a child. So it means that you as a parent are a leader and you have nothing in you, then you can't give it because you do not have the ability to actually give what you do not have. All right? You must have it for you to give it. Let's move on. We also have the sexual abuse. If you've been abused sexually growing up, someone reached out to me recently and said, I was abused and I have numbed the feeling. Coach, right now, I am beginning to see. She attended the Healing from Parenting hot course last year. And she said, I began to see that all I did was just to, shove what has happened to me under the carpet. But it keeps showing up. Your past is not going to just die. If you've been abused sexually, physically, and you've not been able to actually speak about it, you've not been able to get into therapy, you've not been able to deal with it, then you would struggle. You would struggle. Please get help. No matter what time, if you've been you were sexually abused, you were molested as a child, no matter what it is, where it is that you are, please, you could have adverse childhood effect from that. Please seek help. Emotional abuse. Do you know that emotional abuse is a thing? If you were ever growing up, you were shamed for bedwetting, you were, shamed for, all of these things, you cannot, you don't have this, this is why this is happening to you. And all of that shaming around the things that, our parents had to do. I remember having a conversation with my mom, and I was, asking her, I was saying that, so why was it that even when I bedwetted till I turned 10, few times, when I turned 10. And, my mom would always, teach you what to do and all of that. I love that my mom is listening to me and I'm sharing this. And then, we had a conversation recently, and I said, so mommy, what made you, because that was the applicable thing, to shame children that, bedwet and all of that without, any kind of, stuff to do with it to help the children. And she said to me, she said, while I was raising children, I was reading, even though I didn't understand a lot of things, but I read. And when I read, I would understand that this is not the way to go. If you're not reading, you're killing your journey. You need to understand that knowledge is a deal breaker. I shared something recently on Sunday, and I said that if you are a pastor, that anointing does not raise a child. Oh, people came after me and said, oh, the anointing, you need anointing, you also need knowledge and all of that. That is why there are principles of the kingdom. The same way that prosperity, prayer cannot give you prosperity. It's the same way that raising children, but prayer is not what you need. They are kingdom principles. Let me not go into that before you guys start calling me the parenting pastor. But really, these are kingdom principles, and you can't take it away. Which is why someone who does not know God will apply the principles will prosper. Which is why someone who doesn't understand who God is and applies the principles will raise excellent children. Now, because there is the principles of Jesus and there is the person of Jesus, they're not the same thing. So even those who do not understand the person of Jesus and applies the principles of Jesus will actually get results. Let me not go into that. That is something else. All right. So you need to understand that what you know is what is going to lead you, is what is going to run you through all of this journey. You need to ask yourself, what exactly do I know? Right? Then we're talking about emotional abuse. If you were abused emotionally, told the things that you shouldn't, hear the things that you shouldn't hear, I tell you something for free. The voices of your parents is going to be your head 40 years from now, 20 years from now. What exactly are you speaking? Sometimes I call up my mom and I said, do you remember what you used to say like 20 years ago? And I repeat the words, and she usually will have a good laugh. The other day, my brother was going up and I said something in Igbo that my father would usually say to us. I remember the words so vividly. Nobody remembers the yelling you're yelling because your words are not heard. Nobody remembers the flogging you're flogging, because when the time to choose, your child is going to choose from your words that made sense to them. One of the reasons why you can't speak and it's making sense to your children is because your words are not graced. They're full of abuses. They're full of, emotions. They're full of, you're not sitting down. You're not sitting down to grace your words. The moment you understand that your words, when they are graced, then you would have success. That is it. It is a deal breaker for you. It is a deal breaker for you. So you need to actually understand that it is important, very, very important for you to deal and learn this. The next thing that can cause trauma is neglect. A lot of people were neglected growing up. Oh, because the parents were so busy, they just run off. We think that some of these things are okay. A child who was neglected growing up would have trust issues. We're coming there. A child who was neglected growing up would have trust issues. We're going to get there. All right? Sorry. Right? So it's important that we recognize these things and we deal with it. Work on Facebook was a bit shaky. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. So it's important that you look at that. Neglect. If you were neglected, you need to heal from it. If you were neglected, you need to deal with this. It's important that you actually deal with it if you are, there. Another thing that you can cause sibling trauma is sibling rivalry. So I'm currently writing my next work is on sibling rivalry. Lots and lots of stories. Lots and lots of stories about sibling rivalry. Sibling rivalry can be a cause of trauma. A lot of people have been traumatized till date because of sibling rivalry. I remember that a particular parent shared the story of how her sister eventually died out of sibling rivalry. That is trauma, and you need to heal from it. If you have siblings you can't speak to, you guys cannot, there is a problem. You need to deal with it. You need to deal with it. If there were things that happened growing up, people tell me, oh, sibling rivalry is going to just, ease off. Everything's just going to be, okay, all right, and all of that. No, it's not going to ease off. Sibling rivalry don't go away without you dealing with it. That's one of the notions that I want to actually correct using that book. We need to stand up and deal with it. There are stories about my own extended family that I would share in that book as well. How that also came in creeping. Again, things that happen in your childhood experiences do not go away. You must recognize that. Your childhood experiences do not go away. What happens is that they show up. They show up. The past don't stay in the past. Another thing that can happen is unavailable parents. Unavailable parents, which also could, fall under neglect. Somebody's talking about neglect. Yes, unavailability is also part of neglect. So you're not there. I don't have time. I don't have time. I've heard a lot of parents say this, I don't have time thing. And it's usually very funny. when parents tell me, oh, please, I don't have time to do all of this. Somebody was telling me, all this parenting thing, I do not have time. I don't even have time to be playing with children. It's going to show up. It's going to show up, but because it's going to also be faced. Your child is going to be faced with all of that. Someone is saying that they can't see me. Please, can you hear me on Facebook? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? If you can, please do let me know before I continue. Please, if you can see me and hear me, let me know. If you can see me and hear me, please do let me know. I want to be sure that I can be seen before I continue. I want to be sure that I can be seen before I continue. All right, I can see and I can hear you. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. I thought I have lost track. All right, great. Thank you for your responses. Then I said, then another thing that can happen is parents who have suffered trauma. Parents who have suffered trauma is another thing when it comes to trauma. If your father, your mother has suffered trauma, if your father, your mother has suffered trauma in the past, there's something called transgenerational trauma. It's going to come looking for you. Yep. Because your parents are going to be acting out on the trauma. That's going to happen. And then they're going to be transferring their trauma to you. Time won't permit me to even go deeper into transgenerational trauma. So they're going to be transferring their trauma to you, and you will be buying it like you buy a market. And a lot of our parents who experienced war, I've had this conversation with my parents who experienced war were traumatized. Yes, the Nigerian Biafran war, if you're in Nigeria and you're watching me, all right? Have these conversations. They were traumatized. All right. In fact, the other day I had a conversation with my friend Ben, and we were like, this is why a lot of our parents believed that it was okay to actually be very harsh on children because of the witnesses of war. It had a huge effect. We've not been able to psychologically actually review the war for the people who saw the war. It has an effect. Okay? It has an effect. Another thing that can cause childhood trauma is childhood illness. If you were ill for a long time as a child, the child was, throughout their time, the child was struggling, they were ill from hospital to hospital, that can also be really pretty, very traumatic for a child. Another thing that can cause trauma is learning disability. Learning disability can cause trauma. I've seen a lot of people who were not able to read and write in secondary school, in primary school, and then growing up and all of that. If that is not dealt with, this can come hounding you, later on in life. Parents that are traumatized live out their trauma, like I said, and you will be fully there. You can't be fully there for your children. Yes, transgenerational trauma. Thank you for that. You can't be fully there for your children if you are traumatized, which is one of the reasons why we actually run the healing from childhood trauma classes, so that you can be whole. You can't parent without healing you. If you don't heal yourself on this journey, then you will not be able to parent the next person. There are a lot of things that might have happened. There are a lot of things that I couldn't do. I had to, go through a trauma session, a therapy session as well. All right. So there were little things, here and there that we think that it doesn't matter. But when they show up really strong on your journey. All right. How does it affect you as an adult? That's the question you are asking now. Like, coach, how does it even really affect me as an adult? If you don't get help, or you've never actually gotten the right kind of therapy, work on your trauma, that child part of you carries your trauma. So we call it the inner child. So until you do the inner child work, your trauma will be carried over by that inner child. Okay? And then it will continue. They live in our symptoms. Do you know what these symptoms are? I've heard a lot of people say things like, oh, I can't trust anybody. I look at them and I smile. You think it's normal. No, it's not. No, it's not. There's a problem with it. Go and check your attachment theory. Most people who had neglect attachment theory have trust issues. So, you just say things like, oh no, I cannot trust anybody. Nobody is trustworthy. And we've said that over and again, and we now have this, it's now like a bragging right, in quotes. But we don't know that it's us dealing with something from our childhood. So if you must, deal with it, thank you, Uncle Ben. At our last, trauma, after our last trauma healing for parenting hot class, Uncle Ben was there for a particular session. Okay, so it means that you haven't healed. In fact, in psychology, it actually says that 80% of what you do comes from your subconscious. And then your subconscious is formed in your childhood. Your subconscious is formed in your childhood. So it's your childhood that carries over. Most of the things that happens to you is about your childhood. It's coming from your childhood. So when you see some trigger, when you see some stuff, look at your childhood. What happened there? The inner child actually has a lot. It shows up. It shows up in everything that we do. So you have trust issues. All right? You have trust issues. Thank you, Uncle Ben. 100%. All right? I wanted to be safe. You have trust issues. So anything that you do from you as a person, you're doing anything, you're thinking, no, it's just coming, it's just me, just acting out. No, it's not just you. There's something more to that thing. In fact, Uncle Ben being here reminds me of something that we had a conversation on, something very interesting, when we had a conversation of how something that happened in your childhood comes back to you in your adulthood and then triggers it. Even things that you don't like, you find yourself doing them because that is the inner child. That is the inner child still fighting through. You need to actually do the inner child work to be able to deal with that. All right, to be able to deal with that. Sorry, Oyinade, I didn't see your question. You can tag me to it. Another thing that can happen to you when it comes to the symptoms of trauma is low self-esteem. That's the one that, it's a big deal. A lot of us will say, no, but they beat us, they abused us. It's okay. If you call it abuse, I call it training. But when you look at yourself, you actually see that there is low self-esteem hanging on your head. You're not confident enough. Most of us, somebody said that most of us were beating all the things that were supposed to be, we're supposed to be where we were beating out. They used cane and words to beat it out of us. Low self-esteem. And when you do a sample, I have worked with parents for 3 years now. And when you do a sample, then you would see that there's a lot of parents battling with low self-esteem. How do you speak the right words to a child if you're battling with low self-esteem? Do you know that when you are speaking the words and you're not sure of the words you're speaking, do you know that your children know? Your children know when you're speaking the real words to them and when you're not. How can a sexually abused person trust anyone? You need to heal first. You need to start from your healing work. That's the first place. It's a tough call. I will not lie to you, but you need to heal. It means that you haven't healed. It means that there's a lot of work for you to do. You need to actually get, to that. All right. What can I do? So low self-esteem has become a big deal. It shows up. That's trauma. That's trauma hounding you. That's what it is. Low self-esteem. Yes, imposter syndrome. It's actually a form of low self-esteem. I don't know if I do it with somebody am I good enough? We ask ourselves those things. Am I good enough to do it? Am I sure I'm the right person? Can I come here? And all of that. Another one is the fear of being judged. The fear of being judged is another way that trauma shows up. What if they say I'm like this or like that? What if somebody asked me one day, are you not afraid that people are going to judge you? That was when it dawned on me that we actually all have, trauma, a lot that we're dealing with. And when this person asked me this question, I looked at the person and, it's something that we really need to deal with. If you have fear of being judged, that is your child, your inner child fighting through and showing up. All right? And in healed in 2020, I always felt like a shadow around. Oh wow, awesome. Thank you for sharing that, ma'am. So it's very, very important that we also, look at that. All right? Fear of being judged is a sign that you're battling with childhood trauma. Constant attempt to please. Somebody said to me, I do not have the ability to say no. I don't have the ability to say no to people. That is trauma. Childhood trauma showing up. I can't say no. You have to do everything. I've heard a lot of parents say things like, hey, my children need to please me because I am the parent. Oh, when I say something, it has to be my way and all of that and all of that. That is you actually giving your children this. You need to please somebody. So when you tell them, it's only when you behave well that you're a good child and all of that. So for them, they need to do something to be loved. You need to, if you find yourself where you're thinking, there has to be something that I'm doing for me to be loved. Many people were not even loved unconditionally. Many people were loved conditionally. And many parents today are also loving their children conditionally, unfortunately. All right? So it is very, very key. Yes, it's not easy. That is not easy because we don't seek help. We try to fight these things ourselves. I have a friend that was ill for a while and got out of it and all of that. And I realized that a lot of things have began to change. And I realized that this person needs therapy. Because we're a society that think that things will pass away with time. Again, time heals nothing. They show up. Time heals nothing. All right? So you need to actually begin to learn, because we were taught, yes, we were taught to love ourselves conditionally. You only love yourself when you're doing well. These are the things that were passed to us, and these are some of the ways that trauma actually show up. So we begin to actually look at ourselves as not being enough. All right? Another thing, like I said constant attempt to please. Constant attempt to please. Another thing is outbursts and frustration. Outbursts and frustration. A lot of parents will tell me, I don't even know, I just want to shout. It is you fighting childhood trauma. If you're in the place where you're looking at yourself, you can't just, it's just not work. I can't. I just have to react that way. Time heals nothing. You need to actually deal with that thing for you to get healed. It shows up. It shows up every time. It shows up all the time. Please remember that anger and emotional outbursts can be a sign of that you're dealing with a childhood trauma. All right? That you're dealing with a childhood trauma. So you need healing. Depression is also a sign that a symptom of childhood trauma in adults. It could also come up, depressed. It could also come up with all of that. When you see yourself, I like to say a bit about anger. When you see yourself, you're constantly getting angry. Everything you're angry, like my husband calls it being angry with the world. There's something wrong. Find help. Please don't leave yourself. If everything your children does triggers you, there's something wrong with you. You need to deal with it. And these things are deeper than these things that I'm sharing. When people get into the healing your parenting heart, childhood, trauma class, usually people cry when they are done with the therapy session and all of that. People weep, as in, weep and say, is this where I'm coming from? You need to actually forgive yourself, forgive the person, forgive and heal. And heal. You need to actually deal with that, right? Anxiety and fear. Yes, anger is a secondary emotion. It actually comes from fear and pain. Anger is a secondary emotion, it's not a primary. So it comes from fear and pain. So whenever you see someone ever triggered with so much anger, check it. That person is fighting a demon. That person is fighting a demon. And a lot of people are fighting demons from their childhood without even knowing that they are fighting demons. And you see things like, oh, things are not working for me. Oh, this is not happening. Oh, this is not happening. These are just, you dealing with your demon. And if you don't deal with it, you will find yourself continuously struggling. I've mentioned difficulty in trusting people could be a sign. Feeling isolated could also be a sign that you are fighting childhood trauma. Yes, feeling isolated. Some people brag and tell you things like, I don't have friends. I don't want to have friends. I just want to be by myself. It's not okay. There's nothing okay about it. There's everything wrong with all of that. And then, we say these things, it becomes a bragging right. It becomes a bragging right for us. I was telling the parents in the inner circle recently, and I was saying, these things are not things to brag about. These things are not things, saying that, oh, I get angry and I like that I get angry quickly and all of that. Please don't brag about it. If you find yourself in that space, please seek help. It simply means that you need help. There is no two ways about it. Don't come and say, oh no, it's just me. Please look for help. All right? And then loss of interest could also be a sign that you're battling with childhood trauma. Lots of interest in things and all of that. In fact, even overeating. People who eat and eat as a way to actually just, pull themselves out of situations and all of that. It could be you. Many times it's actually you struggling and battling with childhood trauma. it shows up in different ways. It shows up in different ways. So you need to actually pull yourself back and think through all of your process. How is this? How I grew up? How is it? How is it helping me, or how is it impacting my journey? How is it impacting my journey? And unfortunately, childhood trauma also increases health risk. We have cancer, we have heart attack, we have depression, we have stroke. Oh, yes, we have stroke, we have asthma. There's a lot, that childhood trauma can actually do when it comes to our health. When you look at science, the signs of, the things, chronic illness, many of them can actually be linked by childhood trauma. Thank God, Uncle Ben is there. Uncle Ben is a psychotherapist and all of that. And then, I think it was one of those days we had a conversation, and he was telling me about a session he had and how it was, linked, to the patient that already had cancer and all of that. So you need to actually deal with this. You need to actually deal with this for you to actually move on and live your life. So it can give you serious illness. So all of those things that you used, you grew up with, that you coped with, could actually be a disservice to you. And you need to not begin to deal with it. Do you know that I have seen people that lying through things, lying through events, was their own coping mechanism growing up. And right now, they are constantly looking at people like people are doing something to them. They can't trust you. They are constantly lying through events, lying through. So if you see someone who is a chronic liar, go and check that person's childhood. The person is dealing with a trauma in childhood. The person is dealing with the trauma from childhood. So when you look at all of this, so what we have done over the years is to cope. That's what we have done. Over the years is to cope. Someone asked me, so if something happens, so somebody asked me a question on a live session where I was talking about the children, and I said, no, I don't have a house help. And then the person came to me privately and said, well, I think that thing you said, I still don't believe you. I want you to really tell me, because I know that people can say things, on live sessions and all of that, and just lie, just to be able to get people to listen to them and all of that. Do you really mean that you don't have a domestic worker? I said, no, I don't. I said, why do you think I will come to a live session to tell a lie? Now, the only thing that told me was that person has actually grown up in a system that has built that kind of, that lie system for her, where she thinks that lies was a coping mechanism for her. So when you see other people, you're constantly thinking, that's not true. It's also one of the reasons why things people do things. You say someone doing something online, say it's a lie. You can't trust anybody. You can't, nothing is coming from somewhere. Your inability to learn is part of trauma. Yes, learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is part of trauma. So when you're dealing with that, you are in a place where the joy of learning is lost because of what's happened to you in childhood. So that is why right now we tell a lot of Nigerians, oh, you need therapy, oh, you need to go and learn how to do this, oh, you need to develop yourself to do this, oh, you need to do that. And you see them say things like, no, I don't need to. Learn helplessness. Yep, it's part of what can happen to you from your childhood trauma. So if you are battling with any form of abuse, then you need to deal with it. Don't take it for granted, because they will show up over and again on your journey. All right. So today we opened up registration for another healing session. We're going to have two people come up also in that course to also run you through. So if you are in any of these, please take that class. Healing from childhood trauma. Just take it to even start your work. It's a long-term journey. Don't even think that, oh, one day it's just going to all go away. No, it's a work. But you can start with, the place where you are actually going to learn. So that class, the healing class, actually takes off in May. It's May 13th to 16th, right? It's May 13 to 16. So you can enroll. We currently have a discount. The discount is 50% discount right now. So instead of 20,000, you get to pay 10,000 naira. So if you want to join the course, you can just put healing course. You can just put course in the comment section. I will send you details of the course. At least you'll be able to take a look at it. When a child misbehaves, I should frown at the child to let him know such behaviors are not allowed. Okay, I didn't get your question, the first question first, so I am a bit confused. All right. So if you have questions, please share in the comment section. But if you want to be part of that class is in May. Is a class that I encourage every parent. If you want to parent, every parent to actually start. If you're watching me on YouTube, all right, you will see the link to that class on the description, and you'll be able to get the details and all of that. All you need to do is say that you want to be in that class, but the early bird offer expires in 2 weeks, and then you get to pay. So we have the 50% off. All right. I didn't get your question. If you can repeat, when a child misbehaves and you know this is a child, it means your job is teach and guide. That's not an emotional process for you. Okay, I didn't get the question. I am getting. If I get tagged, then I'll speak more on it. All right. So if you have questions on what we have shared with you today, this we can't even exhaust this. This topic cannot be exhausted as long as we stay. All right. So in that healing session, we're going to actually be looking at a lot of things that can help you. We're going to be looking at a lot of things that can help you as a person walk from one point to another on your journey. I've recommended, as we speak, actually, there have been parents in our community, in the inner circle, are actually the ones that even made us. They are the ones that made us to repeat this class. It wasn't going to actually show up again. All right. So but we just figured that this class was very key and important. There's a lot that people are going to. So what this class is going to help you do, I'm trying to open the class details. What this class is going to help you do is for you to truly acknowledge the pain you suffered. In doing that, and then you begin to heal, you will be able to take in compassion from others, and also have compassion on you. You'll be able to reconnect with yourself, including reconnecting with your emotions. You begin to gain understanding on why you are there where you are, and then how to get out of the negative ways and all of that. Then you also will be able to start your intentional parenting journey so that you don't pass your trauma from your child to your child. If you enroll today, you actually be able to get the free psychotherapy session with the experts that we're bringing in. You also be able to get the free one-on-one coaching. The first 20 people that pay will get a free one-on-one coaching with me and some of the people, some of the team members. And then you would also get access to a 1-month group support system that we've created for that. 50% discount on the early bird. And you also get access to becoming confident and finding purpose webinar that we are creating in the month of March. All right. These are the things that you get. So you get access to that webinar free. That webinar is 20,000. That's what we're going to have that masterclass sold for. But you will get it free if you get into the course today. All right. If you want to get into that course, all you need to do is to put course in the comment section. If you're on YouTube, just look at the description and you will find the link to that course details. Okay. Yes, Eunice is already part of there. Some parents have already registered for this course already. We already have parents who are already in this course, that we're going to run with it in the month of May already. So if you want to be part of it, please, you can either reach out to us, or you can I think we can post the link, the details, so that you can take a look at all the things that you can see and all of that. Augustine, please just help us make that post so that we can pin it and everybody will be able to see the link and all of that. Okay, so I can't see any question. It's almost 2:58. Okay, Uju, all right, please, if you want to be part of that course, all you need to do is to put course in the comment section. Put course in the comment section. We'll have a discount, and you get all of these things that I have said. All of these things that I said and many more. The group coaching, the first 20 people who pays get access to me. All right. Just put course. They get access to me, and they will be able to have a system that helps them, through the journey. You get access to me on a one-on-one coaching session. Then you also get a group. Everybody gets a group coaching session. You get a free therapy session where you would meet, look in depthly. Part of this session is a therapy session that takes you in depthly to your past, where you begin to go and deal with it. All right. So instead of 20,000, you get to pay 10,000 in the next 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, it goes back to the original fee. Don't say you didn't see, because that's one of the things. All the people that booked for the structured parenting guide, all of them are saying that, oh, coach, I didn't see the discount and all of that. We keep announcing these discounts. Please join. All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Augustine. Augustine, please, can you share the link also? Can you share the link? Can you share the link with it? Add the link to it, please. Add the link to what you're responding to. Please do add the link. Don't share without the link, because I know that there are people who would want to make payment using the link, who can pay directly to the account. The link takes you to be able to pay anywhere you are. This session is online, so it means that anybody can have access to this session. Okay, so you get access to our webinar free, 20,000 naira in the month of May. How to be confident and fulfill purpose, and it's a webinar that we're launching in May. So we have one webinar per month. So it's a webinar we're launching in May. So you want to actually get into that webinar. You will also get access to do a therapy session. You will also get access to a one-on-one, session with me. But that one-on-one session with me is only the first 20 people, please, so that when you make payment, if you don't make payment and you're not among the first 20 people, you're not going to be able to get it. All right. Yes, Eunice, you've qualified. You're qualified for the coaching session, of course. I think you were the third person to have made payment for that class in this year. This is the first time we're launching that class, Healing from Childhood Trauma. This is the very first time we're launching that class. And, I don't know if we'll be able to launch it again. Last year, we were not able to do it more than once. I doubt very much if we'll be able to do this more than once, because in June, we're having the TIP Fathers Conference. In July, we're having the TIP Annual Conference. In May, we're also having some activities. In August as well, we're having an activity. In October, I'm launching my second book. In July, also, my other book is also launching. So there's a lot of activities that might not give us the opportunity to launch this course again. So I would advise that this course might actually be airing just once this year. Last year, it aired only once. We couldn't do it more than once. We just couldn't. It was beyond us. All right. And I see the same thing, repeat itself. In our calendar, we have put in that the course should air twice, but I very much doubt it's going to happen, because we have other courses that haven't even seen the daylight, in this year. And we want to actually, talk about them, put it out there for people to also benefit. People have waited. There are people who have waited for our courses from last year to this year. There are people who have paid for the healing classes last year, and they are waiting for the class this year. So please take opportunity to take this course in 2021. Maybe the next time you're going to see it in the academy again, it will be in 2022. Just like I was talking about the inner circle parents, and I was sharing that in the inner circle, all right, it's only once every, the inner circle is only once. We do registration once every year. Right now, you can't register. If you want to be part of the inner circle program, you have to wait till 2022. So we actually have a lot on our plate. So we want to, be able to carry everybody along. So this course is only going to actually be able to air in May. I don't think we will have the time and the space to actually slot it in. Right, the annual conference takes a lot. It takes a toll on us in the academy. For those of us who have always been at the conference, you will agree with me that it's a whole lot. In fact, when we finish the conference, usually people call me to say, "Coach, what do I do for you? Let me send you food. Let me send you money." It's usually very tasking, but it's something that we like. We enjoyed. Last year we had 26 coaches from all over the world. This year we're going to have about 30 coaches, and trust me, it's a lot for us to actually bring all of this together from everywhere, all over, streaming live for everybody to access. And the conference is free. The TIP annual conference is free. So yes, it's also part of our way to give back to the society on the things that we do. All right. So please take advantage of this healing class now. Take advantage of it now. Please note, the first 20 people are the people who will get access for a one-on-one session with me. Please. One-on-one session with me is 25,000 naira per hour. So it simply means that you're going to get a free 25,000 naira ticket into my system. So, but if you are not part of the 50, please, you are not going to be there. So if you want to be, if you're not part of the 20, the first 20, you won't be able to join, but you'll be able to get other perks. The other perks include that you're going to have a therapy session, you're going to have a coaching group for 1 month. We're going to give you, works to do every month. If you've ever been in any of our courses, you will know that we don't speak gibberish, right? we give you the product that you paid for and even more. So we triple your value for whatever it is that you're getting. And for this particular course, I am passionate about it because I have seen a lot happen. We started airing this course last year, 2 years ago in 2019, and this is the third time we're going to be running it. All right. Thank you, Augustine, for the link. So if you cannot pay directly with our GT account, you can use the link. The link gets you to be able to pay. Make interested in the Club Bukala Roaders, you can just use the link. All right, and the link is right in the YouTube description. Okay, if you cannot, please just use the link. The link takes you straight. No matter which currency you're paying in, you will be able to pay. Wherever you are in the world, you'll be able to pay. So you don't have a problem with payment. So if you want to be part of the course, all you need to do is to put course in the comment section, and we would avail you with details of how you're going to be part of that course. Remember, I said we're bringing in, therapists who will help you through and all of that, in the session. Anybody who have been through the healing work session in the academy will tell you, that this is a whole lot. No, we start with parents. Somebody is saying that children need this class as well. I agree, but usually we start with parents because we want the parents to actually understand exactly, what it is that they need to do. I am more interested in not passing this trauma transgenerationally. That's what I'm more interested in. I'm more interested in not passing it transgenerationally. I'm interested in you being the generational bridge that kills this whole, process, so that you're not constantly putting, a lot of things, in the space. You're not fighting through. So you need to understand that it starts with you. You need to do something about it. You need to do something about your journey. All right. And if you must do that, then you must take responsibility. That's one thing that you must do. All right. So if you want to be part of that course, please, you can reach out, or you can just simply put course in the comment section and we will share details with you. By the way, our structured parenting guide is still up for you to get a copy. All right, that will help you build structures, routines, rules, and all of that. You want to get a copy, it's still selling at 1,500. After tomorrow, it's going to sell for 2,000. That's by the way. And then if you want to get any of our books, yes, Ben, when parents heal, children heal as well. I agree. If you want to get any of our books, we have the discipline that works. You can get it anywhere you are in the world. It's available on Amazon, and right now also our guides are also being available on Kindle and all of that. So you can get it anywhere you are. You can get it in Nigeria. You can get it in Cameroon. You can get it in Ghana. This is also Connect to Correct. They are 3,000 per copy. You can get it anywhere. You can start your journey from there. This is Walking Your Child Through Puberty. You can also get a copy and then read through. Please do not say that, oh, I have just come here, you just want to go. Remember that you need to do something. Don't just go without doing something. Do something about your journey. Do something about your healing process. We've been there. We've gone, a lot of. I have been privileged to work with a lot of parents, and I can tell you for free that one of the biggest challenges that we have in parenting is people battling with childhood trauma. And I would like everybody to take responsibility on dealing with this childhood trauma and actually getting into a system that helps them walk it through. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I see lots of friends and family and all of that. Yes, thank you. And thank you to my mom. Shout out. She's every Tuesday, listening to me from beginning to the end. And then when I'm done, she calls me and says, "Oh, yeah, so there's something I also want you to talk about. I saw a parent in church and all of that." Usually very funny conversation. All right. Thank you so much. And thank you all for believing, in me and believing and listening to me. Thank you for being here. See you again next Tuesday, but you can follow us on our Instagram page. Our Instagram page is the Intentional Parents with the S. We're also live every Thursday at 4 p.m., sharing on different, issues, conversations, and all of that. You can also join us every Tuesday at 2 p.m. You don't want to miss it. It's always rewarding. You don't come here and you leave without having value. Let me see in the comment section, did you get value from this session? If you did, let me see your comment in the comment section as we start rolling and as we start closing. Again, we are going to close with you trying to play this all of this again with you. So as we close, let me know that
You also for from this session. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, everybody, for being here. See you again next Tuesday at 2 p.m. or see you at 4 p.m. on our Instagram page. Don't forget. Bye for now. If you want anything, please reach out to us. My number is public. You can find it anywhere that you have. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Uncle Ben. Of course, Uncle Ben already knows that Uncle Ben is a huge part of the TIP Academy. Thank you for all you do, sir. We don't take it for granted. All right, we're able to bully him at every point in time to come on board and do stuff and all of that. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Shout out to all of our TIP partners. Thank you for all you guys do. We appreciate you. And shout out to my team. They do lots and lots of good work. Something that I don't take for granted. All right. Thank you to my team. Thank you, Augustine. Thank you, Precious. Thank you, Shira. And thank you, Joy. Thank you, guys. You guys are just awesome. I appreciate you guys. All right. So see you again, and then we keep talking. Remember that if you're catching a replay, you can still put course in the comment section, and you will get the same. You will get the same system. Thank you, and do have a nice day.